I got to talk about the Spain crisis, of course, in Italy. As we all see, Prime Minister is not going on vacation now or something to deal with the economic problem in his country. Mr. Prime Minister of Spain, Bozo. What economic problem? You said months ago there's no problem in Spain whatsoever. The economy is going to be fine. There's no need to worry. The bonds will be fine, etc. And here we see the bonds pulling in interest rates of near 7, just like Italy. And Italy is the 5th, or is it the 4th largest economy in the EU? And I think Spain is number 3, or maybe Italy is 5 and 5th, and Spain is 4th. But as far as the PIGS nations goes, right, the PIIGS nations, which is Greece, Portugal, Ireland, etc., Italy, the ones that have already been in trouble and got austerity measures put in place, as well as, these IMF bailouts and the ECB or whatever bailouts. So there's nothing new under the sun. And what's interesting, again, we had our little debt ceiling raised, and the Dow's tanking still. Last I checked today, earlier anyways, it was down, not a tiny bit, but a decent amount. Gold, again, way up. Silver, last I just checked a few minutes ago, actually, maybe 10 minutes ago, it was over $1 again. And yesterday, it was over $1 for silver. So again, as Lindsey Williams said, 20 to 25% around September through December. We're not even in September. We're just barely into August, the 3rd day now. And we've got basically, we're pretty much touching that 20% increase that Lindsey Williams called, a little over a month or so ago. Spot on information, as usual, by Pastor Lindsey Williams. You gotta love that guy and his connection, the oil elite retired guy, whatever. So what happens, why is Spain getting 6 and almost, 6 point something, near 7% on their bonds? What does that mean? And how, or better yet, who sets the rates on these bonds? How is it that these bonds just fetch higher percentage for interest? Well, let me give you a little example how this is going to roll out, specifically for America, because it's the same way it's already been rolling out over there. So you can see what happens there. You'll know what's coming here. Again, nothing new under the sun. So in America, we've had these bonds auctions, right? And remember, China was the biggest purchaser of these treasury bonds. Then Japan, and then 3rd place was actually the U.S. Federal Reserve, which is funny because how does the private bank that prints the money, where is it getting the funds from to buy these bonds and hold these bonds? So how does it become the largest purchaser of bonds? Which, by the way, was what I was going to say next. China is no longer number 1 in holding these bonds, but the Federal Reserve is now number 1. China is number 2, and of course Japan is number 3. So the largest holder of U.S. bonds is now the Federal Reserve, and it's been that way since around November or maybe December of 2010, by the way. And of course they purchased a bunch more through the first part of this year, 2011, the Federal Reserve did. So you have these entities saying, hey, we want to buy some of these bonds. Right, so we just upped the debt ceiling to near 17 trillion or whatever it's going to be now, and that allows us to create more bonds to get that cash from the Federal Reserve. So if we create more bonds, they have to go on auction. Therefore, there has to be China and Japan and of course now the Federal Reserve standing in line to buy them. So what happens when all these people who have been buying bonds and want to buy more bonds from us, we go out and, like this article today, U.S. to immediately put $72 billion in bond sales right away. Of course, because we just passed this crisis by the skin of our teeth. August 2nd, the debt thing increase passed. And now, because we were already at the limit, we got to urgently sell bonds so we can play with that money now. So what happens is they'll put these bonds out there for a low percentage rate, interest rate. And then people will look at it and say, it's not good enough. Your AAA credit ratings now in the crosshairs of Moody's, which, by the way, should already be downgraded long ago. Just like all of these countries like Greece and Spain and Italy and Ireland, all of them should have had theirs downgraded long before they actually got downgraded. So not to worry, ours will be downgraded too. So what's going to happen is we put these bonds out there, low interest rate to start with. Who wants these bonds? Oh, no one's coming up to the window. Oh, that's odd. They used to always come up in droves. Huh. So what happens? The interest rate goes up. How about now? Oh, we got a couple bites, but we don't have $72 billion worth. Up the interest rate some more. Okay, we got some more people. Up the interest rate some more. Okay, now we just sold $72 billion in bonds. Or, just as an example. And then what happens is you now owe more taxpayer money, to pay that interest to those people who just bought those bonds, more so than normal. So again, when they raise the debt ceiling, automatically you're going to be paying more, because whatever interest rate they're selling those bonds at, you have to now pay for 2.4 trillion more dollars to reach 17 trillion. We now have to pay the extra amount on that. So no tax raising, no tax raising. It's going to get raised one way or the other unless they do some drastic cutting. So if they don't, or do a little but it's not enough, then again bond prices, interest rates are going to go up. And then when that happens, it's that's when you start getting hit hard with austerity measures, and you start getting hit hard with service cuts. Police departments closing, all kinds of facilities closing, laying off people, etc. And again, the people holding these bonds will just sit back and collect the interest money. Now, it's interesting because most of the bondholders are central banks of other countries. But as you've come to realize, it doesn't matter what country a central bank resides in, they are controlled and pretty much owned by the same people in the world. The same ones that control our central bank are the same ones that control all of the EU central banks, and quite possibly even in China, I don't know. But the fact that they have a central bank that does the same thing that we do pretty much tells you it's probably controlled by the same people. So those are all the people holding these bonds. So, oh, you can't default. Why not? It's just big banks holding other banks' bonds and then countries' bonds, which of course the bonds were created in the first place by the rules that were put in place by the central bank of that country. As the guy that created the movie Money Masters and The Secret of Oz said, take Congress's ability to borrow out of the Constitution and put back, which it's already there, but enforce it, the part where they have to coin money. They are the only ones who can create money, not give it to an organization such as the Federal Reserve to then come up with its own rules on how economy and money works in your country. No, you give the Congress basically through the Treasury, you would give from Congress to the Treasury the power to create money, just like they do now, even paper money right now, except there are never any bonds that get printed in exchange. The government just says we need more money, we print more money. End of story. All government will continue to operate. All teachers will continue to get paid. All firefighters, all policemen, etc. There will never be a problem. You want to offer these people pensions and bonuses and retirement? Yes, no problem. It's coming from this printing press. It doesn't matter. It's backed by no bond that has to get paid to some other holder, which, by the way, we're paying 42 cents out of every dollar just to pay back that money now. All that 42% would go, 42 cents on a dollar would go away immediately, and we'd have all that money to play with. But what about all these people holding these bonds now? They're going to be pissed off if we were to do that. That's what they wanted from 1913 and every other time when they had a central bank. That's what they wanted. So now our country is too big to fail, meaning we're too big to default on these bonds to these other countries. But little do they know we're going to anyways, one way or the other. They can restructure the bonds and say, basically, we're giving you 20 cents on a dollar. Whoever's got our bonds in the world, yeah, okay, you're getting 20 cents on the dollar, have a nice day. Or we'll give you the whole thing. Hold on a second. Kick that printing press into high gear, overdrive, and the same thing results. Inflation still comes, etc. So this is going to end where we just basically default because they don't want to relinquish this power of the central bank and issuing bonds and all that, so they're going to want to start over. And who knows if they're going to try the global currency, or we're just going to get a new American currency to start with, that may turn into something better, or better in their eyes, like, U.S. currency. Again, maybe a U.S., Canada, Mexico, where it's kind of like a North American Union instead of the European Union, that kind of thing. And basically, do it that way. But because EU just is failing now and is going to completely fail, as Lindsey Williams said, and then when it does fail, you'll have weeks to get out of anything paper that you own in your life in this country. There's no way the people in this country would say, hey, yeah, let's do a North American Union like they did over there in EU. Wait a minute, that thing just collapsed. Why would we dare do that? They may go right for the, the money shot, New World Order, New World Currency, implement it. Based on the same principles now, which is fractional reserve lending. The only other thing would be, if it's a global currency, one currency for everybody, is there going to be a need to create bonds of that world currency? And then, like they do now, and then auction off the bonds at the best interest rate they can, and then take that money, or the bonds are put out, people buy billions and billions and billions of dollars of bonds, then they get the cash. Government of the world, I guess, gets the cash to play with. I don't know, because we don't know what their plans are, how it's going to operate per se, but it would be nice if that does get pulled off, that they do away with the bond part of it and just issue money. But again, if they have these are the same people who brought you the current system we're on now, and we're supposed to take what they say. Oh, great, good idea, good idea. We'll let you guys keep all the power too, since you came up with such a great idea when you destroyed everybody's lives, created all these wars for your own profit and personal gain, and now you want to offer us a new world currency. Yeah, we'll be right there. Wrong. So I just want to share that with you. Spain is done. I mean, Spain is done. Again, gold and silver way up today. Just a few more dollars here in the near future. I'm going to have to make a video absolutely spanking the shit out of the idiot named Duh Obese Beast, who has been busting my balls since the day I said, buy silver, even if it's $50 and you don't have any, buy it now. He comes out of nowhere and starts messaging me, and it's never going back to 50, not this year or not next year in 2012. It's never going to see 50. So I made him a bet. I guarantee you it will be not only 50 this year, but it will surpass 50 before the year is out. So every time gold or silver moves down like $1 or 90 cents or 70 cents, immediate message from this idiot. I told you it's coming. It's going down to the 20s now, and then it shoots back up to 40. Yesterday, over $1. Today, over $1. Listen, Bozo Beast, what do you have to say for yourself right now? We were all expecting the prices to go down because the United States came out with its little extra debt limit being set. Markets rally, markets rally. That's usually what happens, even though it's not what's supposed to happen. So for the first time in history, what's really supposed to happen actually happened. People saw, or are currently seeing through the fake charade of Wall Street and paper currencies and debt ceilings and all that crap, and they didn't buy the news. They didn't buy the news of, all right, USA debt saves the day and they don't default. No one bought it because gold and silver has been going up, which tells you people aren't trusting these bonds and other things either that these countries like ours are putting out, treasuries, and want real gold and silver, which is funny because Russia, India, I think Mexico again, and another state or country I was just reading a minute ago, are current heavy hitters on buying gold. Lots of central banks of those countries are buying gold, and lots of it. Tons and tons and tons of it, by the way. So, again, Ben Bernanke, yeah. Is gold money? No. Then why do central banks hold it? It's just tradition. So basically what's happening right now is just an old family tradition. You remember that Hank Williams song? It's a family tradition, right? It's just an old central bank tradition. So that's why all these countries are all of a sudden buying rapidly and urgently, buying lots and lots of gold. Yeah. So now they just found their roots in ancient history of it being tradition to buy gold, and they just all decided right now and last year to put it in high gear. Let's buy some gold. Why are you all doing this? Why are you all doing this? Is gold money? Oh, no. It's just a tradition. Oh. And by the way, since the Federal Reserve and other central banks are sitting on so much gold, where are they getting the money from? Because isn't their only job as an entity to just create money? Surely they can't be making profit. I mean, right? They can't be a profitable corporation if they're working for the government and supposedly part of the government, allegedly anyways, How do they have all this money to buy sometimes hundreds of tons of gold? Where do they get that money from? Do they just print it off and, hey, we have the access to the printing press, we might as well do it? No one seems to question this. You should be questioning why are all of them across the world urgently and frantically buying gold right now? Because they already know, as Lindsey Williams said, whatever currency thing, whatever happens next, will be a gold-backed currency. Therefore, all the central banks who are in cahoots with each other already know this. They're not telling anyone, of course, are getting ready for that to take place. They're going to stockpile as much gold as they possibly can so that when all these governments fail and collapse, paper-wise and everything else, well, okay, everyone settle down. We know we just raped your lifestyle and raped your pension and raped everything you thought you had. We're fixing it. We're backing it by gold. Settle down. And the people will settle down. Okay, good. It's a gold-backed currency. How much is gold now? How many thousands of dollars is gold? Wow. Hey, Bozo, you should have got some. So, I wonder how Bozo Beast's stocks and his position in the markets right now are doing. Because he seems to pretend like he makes money when silver goes down. And he was saying as soon as they pass this debt ceiling thing, it's basically the equivalent of quantitative easing 3, and they're going to pass that, and, that's going to happen next, and gold and silver are just going to plummet. And I asked him, Bozo Beast, yeah, listen, what happened to the price of gold and silver after QE, quantitative easing 1? Oh, they shot up. Okay. What happened to the price of gold and silver after quantitative easing 2? They shot up even more. Worse than the first time. Oh, in other words, better than the first time. Huh. But quantitative easing to you, for some reason, is going to crash gold and silver. That's right. And then he says, as soon as they pass this debt ceiling, good night. I was expecting a little hit on gold and silver, but not huge. He's saying good night. And what happened is it went up $1 yesterday, $1 today. Gold's breaking records left and right. Silver's doing great. And as I told him in advance, you bozo sheep, pay attention and learn something. Gold and silver is money, and silver will be back to and past $50 before this year is out. And the reason I'm being a little rough with him right now is because all these messages that he's been sending me privately are pretty rude, pretty mean. And I'm not normally a mean guy, but I've been storing his messages to me and just rereading them and just shaking my head like this, just like, what is this idiot saying? What is this idiot doing? And then he tries to pretend that he just subscribed to Pastor Dowell the other day and messages Pastor Dowell saying, that guy Joe, it's your friend, is preaching the wrong thing and telling people to default on their houses, and if that's the kind of teaching, I'm disappointed in you. And then he copies me on it, Bozo Beast does, to tell me that this is what I sent Pastor Dowell. And I'm looking at it. You jackass, you complete numbskull. You've been bad-mouthing and cussing private messages to me about Pastor Dowell and myself since you first commented on me, and negative towards me. And you have the audacity to trick Pastor Dowell into thinking you just joined him because you like what he's saying, and then his friend over here, Joe, JSnip4, is bad-mouthing the world, telling them to default on their mortgages, which actually isn't what I said, by the way. I told you to do the research on your chain of title, and if there's a break in the chain of title, get yourself a lawyer, and he's going to tell you the same thing, quit making payments. That's what I did. There was no malicious intent on my part whatsoever. Go watch the video again. You will see and listen to what I said. At the same time, oh boy, it feels good knowing that I was able to do that to these banks. Oh, it makes me feel fantastic. But I wouldn't just do it to do it. So this idiot's going to get a smack in the face from reality, from realist truth, with a pinch of Pastor Dowell in the backside of it. And anyways, that's all I got to share with you. And I will be doing a video because the agreement we had together, me and Bozo Beast, was that if I fail and we don't see $50 silver this year, I got to make a video saying he was right and I was wrong, basically. And if it's the opposite and I'm right and he's wrong, he too has to make a video telling everybody that I was the man and that he's the idiot, in other words, for saying what he said. And of course, when I do my video, because we all know where silver is going, before the year's out, of course, it will be back to 50. I will be listing everything that he said to me in my replies back to him, just so you can see the kind of conversation we had behind the scenes. This will be a good piece for the average sheep out there who badmouth Silver, badmouth everybody who was against the mainstream, to really understand, hey, I was a complete jackass for treating those people that way. I was a complete jackass for talking to these people like they were some kind of childish turds, when in fact they were actually, like they said in their videos, trying to help people for free. And I'm bad-mouthing them and cussing at them behind the scenes and private messaging them, calling them names, ragging on them, whatever. It'll be a good wake-up. It'll be a good experience. Maybe they can get in touch with something inside. Maybe a little Jesus connection. Just something, you know. They need it. So I will be glad to be that middleman, median, for those types of people, with the example of Bozo Beast being the #1 guy to show. So stay tuned, because as soon as we see $50 spot price silver, you will be seeing a video from me that will be crushing Bozo Beast and others like him that have tried, that are basically a thorn in the side of all the people out there like me trying to wake people up and just simply help people retain some kind of wealth. And hopefully the other people who witness that say, hey, I used to think like that too. I've even said some of those things too. That guy just got his ass handed to him. Wow, I better change my attitude. You know, and then we have a good ending. Happy ending to the story. So anyways, gotta go.